Hey folks, I'm Rich from Richly Rooted Homestead, and today we are off on a classic fall adventure, apple picking. So pour yourself a glass of cider and come along as we head to the stunning Shelburne orchards right here in Vermont. A little while back I took part in a gleaning event, which meant picking apples for a food bank. A really rewarding experience. For those of you unfamiliar, gleaning is all about harvesting surplus fresh foods from gardens, farms, or markets to help those in need. We picked a ton of apples, and while others were starting to tire, I was still full of energy. I could have kept picking apples well into the night. In fact, I enjoyed it so much that my wife and I couldn't resist going to Shelburne Orchards later that same weekend to grab a few for ourselves. But unfortunately, Vermont got hit by a late April freeze causing an 80% crop loss. The apples were being picked out quickly, but we were lucky enough to still find some and support the farm. After parking, we hopped on the tractor and headed toward a sea of apple trees. It felt like we were venturing into an apple forest. And here's a pro tip I learned at the gleaning event. There actually is a right way to pick a ripe apple. You don't want to yank it or twist it. It can damage the tree and affect future crops. Here's a quick clip of me demonstrating the proper technique.
Alright, so we are going to pick an apple today, and right here we have some Ruby Max, and I'm going to show you how to properly pick it. So most people would twist and pull or yank it, but what you really want to do is just support it and then lift right up, and it'll come right off. And then you have a delicious apple.
My wife and I walked through rows of Empire, Ruby Mac, Golden Delicious, and Macintosh trees, just enjoying each other's company and picking a few apples along the way. The air was crisp, the breeze was refreshing, and the views were absolutely gorgeous. The orchard had a mix of young and old trees, all bearing their delicious bounty. After tasting a few once we got home, I can confirm these apples are fantastic. We had an absolute blast walking through the trees, breathing in the sweet scent of crushed apples underfoot, and after a bit of frolicking and maybe a game of peekaboo, we hitched a ride back to the farm store. Let me tell you, this farm store has to be one of my favorites. It's got that perfect blend of rustic charm and organization. Naturally, I grabbed a jug of cider, and we couldn't resist picking up a few cider donuts too. We sat on a nearby bench to enjoy our donuts while some live music filled the air. The very music you're listening to now. The sun filtered through the trees, and it was the perfect moment to wrap up our morning. With our bags full of apples and our hearts full of joy, we took one last tractor ride back to the car and headed home. Thanks so much for tuning into this little story time. If you have a favorite apple or a favorite way to use them, let me know in the comments below. Personally, I love a good Honeycrisp and making apple rose desserts with them. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, and I'll catch you in the next one.